Hey, what is up? And welcome back to Flow. Today we are going to be talking about the other Limitless Pill. And this is a concept that really helps you to stay attentive, to stay focused, and to stay on your path to mastery. So let's get into the lesson. And let me start with a little story. So Sarah Adi, she was being attacked by a group of soldiers. These were 20 soldiers who were coming at her, running after her from left to right and up and down. And they were all armed with explosives and rifles. And they were charging at her. But amidst this chaos and this fog of war, Sarah was able to stay calm, to stay relaxed, and to stick to her training. And she took down all 20 of these soldiers. Now, how did she do this? Because Sarah, she was not a sniper. She was not even a soldier, but she was a journalist. And this was, in fact, part of a training inside of a simulator. It was not a real battlefield, but it was meant to replicate a real battlefield. And this was her second time on this simulator. The first time that she was on it, she was way too chaotic. Her mind was everywhere. She was panicking because it was so chaotic. And she was scared of the gunfire that was coming her way. She jammed her rifle many times. But what made the difference on the run where she took down 20 soldiers coming after her, and that was only her second try, by the way. And what made the difference was that they placed a special helmet on her head. And this helmet helped with the electric circuitry and to create neural connections inside of her brain that kind of looked a little like flow. Kind of looked a little like flow states that people get into. And so this program is all about flow, and we've talked about this many times. And flow, where it comes from, is the godfather of flow is Milhei Csikszentmihalyi, and he wrote a book called Flow. And what he outlines in that book is that when people are caught up in these flow states, they seem to have this unwavering type of focus. And not only do they have this type of focus that seems so laser-like that time actually manipulates itself. Time takes a different dimension when they are in flow states. Time can either slow down or it can speed up. If you've seen the movie Matrix, Neo, where he's dodging those bullets, he is slowing down the time of reality to dodge those bullets, right? And it can seem like when you are in flow that it is possible, or at least inside your mind, it seems like time is slowing down, such as a surfer when they are riding a wave. Inside of that wave, they can see every single drop of water, and they can just become one with the wave because time has slowed down. But on the other hand, time can also speed up. Time can take the dimension of speed. And so examples of this are surgeons when they get inside of flow states and they are performing surgery on a patient. Like 8-9 hours might have passed by, but to them it feels like 30 minutes has passed, right? Because time takes another route. And I'm sure some of us have experienced this before. We were so caught up in something. We were so drilled into our craft that when we look to the outside world, we notice that so much time has gone by, but it's like, where did the time go? Wow, it's already been 6 hours? Man, that felt like 20 minutes to me. And so this is known as flow, right? That effortless type of focus, and that state that when we become one with time, when we become one with the moment. And so all of this links to meditation, because the helmet that Sarah was wearing, it is very similar to how the brain acts when it is in a meditative type of state. And meditation is highly correlated with flow states. So let's talk about it. Okay, so if this is your first time learning about meditation, then I want to draw some clear pictures for you. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Don't associate with your thoughts. Okay, you are the present awareness behind your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. It's like we have been influenced by society and our environment when we were growing up, that those thoughts have been implanted into our minds, but we are not our thoughts. We are the observer of those thoughts. So we are the consciousness. We are consciousness behind thoughts. So it's kind of like this. Your thoughts are like, they're the strings of a puppet. It is controlling you. And it's controlling your behavior, your actions, and your life. But when you become more and more conscious of your thoughts, when you take a step back and notice that you are not your thoughts, and you detach yourself from your thoughts, you become more conscious. So you can actually see the strings and notice them. And now those thoughts are not controlling you, but you are controlling yourself now. You are controlling your life. And the process of changing behavior always starts with awareness. So what meditation is helping us to do, and it does many things, but one of the things that it helps us to do is to become aware, to become more conscious of our thoughts and our behaviors too. So the more we are aware, the more we can start to change our thoughts and our behaviors. The more we can start to change our lives. And please do not think of this as some kind of religion or any kind of spiritual type of idea. And I mean, you can think of it as something spiritual if you're into that stuff, but you don't have to. Think of this as a very practical type of way to help us to achieve flow, to help us to become more attentive and to become more conscious in our lives. See meditation as a practical vehicle to help enhance our consciousness. So what is meditation, right? So it's simply this. It's the meta-level ability to focus. It's the meta-level ability to stay attentive. It's the meta-level ability to become conscious. That's all that it is. Please do not associate this with any spiritual activities or any religious activities. Just think of this as a meta-level ability to focus. And specifically, the ability to focus on nothing at all. And you know what? Nothing is actually something, right? It's actually one thing. And think of meditation as a practical tool to help you focus, and a helpful tool to help you become conscious about the things that you are unconscious about. Because most of our lives, again, the strings are controlling us, right? And we are unconscious about them. We don't notice them, especially if this is your first time in conscious work and meditation type of work. And Carl Jung, he said it the best. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It is controlling our lives and we are calling this fate. We are leaving this to chance, to luck. But once you realize that you can control those strings, then you can create your own reality. You can create your own destiny. So taking control of our focus, our thoughts, and our life to become aware, that is pretty much what meditation is. And so Tim Ferriss, he's the author of many of the 4-hour books and also Tribe of Mentors and Tools of Titans. And he has done many different interviews and podcasts with many world-class elite athletes and performers and the top 1% of the 1%, right? And so here are some of the secrets of the 1%. He says in his book that more than 80% of the world-class performers I've interviewed have some form of daily meditation or mindfulness practice. It is a meta-level skill that improves everything else. So you can really draw some data from this. You can see how it is affecting all of these world-class experts. And you can say to yourself, wow, if they are meditating or they have some kind of mindfulness practice, and maybe it can help me become a world-class expert in my craft as well. Let's learn from the successful because success leaves clues. And so here are just some of those 1%ers. All right, we have Tony Robbins, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We have Amelia Boone, who is an elite athlete. We have the Glitch Mob, who is a music group. We have Mariah Popova, who is a writer. We have Sam Harris, who is a neuroscientist. And so it is a meta-level skill that improves everything else. You know what else is a meta-level skill? of focus and getting us into flow states. Because when you really master this, when you really master the ability to focus for long periods of time, and if you really master flow states, you can pretty much use this ubiquitously across many different areas of life. Like you can use this mastery of flow and focus in learning and reading books, in focus projects, in writing, in creating music, in creating movies, and editing music, and like a broad, wide spectrum of skills that you can use this in, right? So it's like that overarching skill that makes everything else easier. It's really, truly a meta level skill. And let me introduce you to the Limitless Pill 2.0, but I'm pretty sure you already know what that is. So suppose you read about a pill that you could take once a day to reduce anxiety and increase your contentment. Would you take it? Suppose further that the pill has a great variety of side effects, all of them good. Increased self-esteem, empathy, and trust. It even improves memory. Suppose finally that the pill is all natural and costs nothing. Now, would you take it? The pill exists, and it is meditation. And this is from Jonathan Haidt. He wrote the book, Happiness Hypothesis. And so let's cover like the different types of meditation briefly. I'm not going to cover everything here because we're not going to use everything here. But let me just show you the possibilities of these different types of meditations. So let's take a look at mindfulness meditation. This is probably the most popular, especially nowadays. It seems like everybody is starting to meditate, which is really good because the world is becoming more and more conscious. So mindfulness meditation is all about paying attention to thoughts as they pass through the mind. Okay, we're not judging. We're not becoming involved with thoughts. Remember, we are observing the thought. We are the observer, the conscious awareness behind those thoughts. We're just taking mental notes and just observing any patterns, any thoughts that come up. We're combining concentration with awareness. And in mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath helps with that type of meditation. The next type of meditation is focused-based meditation. So this is pretty much just focusing on one thing, whether that is breathing or a candle or a certain spot on the wall, and concentrating on the present moment, the now. The next type of meditation is mantra meditation. This can also be called transcendental meditation, and this is also a very popular type of meditation. It's just repeating a sound to clear the mind. So you're just focusing on one single sound or a word or a mantra. So the word is a popular one. So you can hear people when you visit certain temples, for example, in the East, you can hear a lot of these people, they make the sound like right? Because they are focusing on the sound to help clear the mind. And you can also use phrases and other mantras as well. Vipassana meditation, this is a non-reaction type of meditation. You are staying present to the moment even through the pain. And this meditation actually lasts a lot longer. This actually lasts for like a few hours. And you're supposed to sit through the bodily pain, such as like your leg falling asleep or your lower back starting to hurt. And you can also do a body scan type of meditation with this type. So you're stopping yourself from being reactive to like the vicissitudes of life. That's like the whole purpose of this meditation, is to stop being reactive and not being a victim of your body or your environment, but being more of a in the moment and staying present to the moment and being more proactive. So next type of meditation is deep relaxation. So you're just going through each of your body parts and then relaxing them deeply. And this can actually help with sleep. So for example, say you're lying in bed and then you just start to relax everything from your head to your toes. So you can start with your forehead. You can release the tension in your forehead, and then you can work your way down to your brows. Release and deeply relax your brows, and then your eyes. Really relieve the tension of your eyes, and then you can work your way down to the nose. Let go of the tension of your nose. Are you getting more relaxed? I hope you're not falling asleep though, so stay attentive to the rest of the lesson. Okay, so the next type of meditation is movement meditation. And this is also known as dynamic meditation. It's made famous by Osho. And Elliot Hulse, he's a YouTuber. He is a big advocate of Osho and this type of dynamic meditation. So it's using body movement to release bodily trauma. It's about letting go and expressing the body. You're going to be like screaming and shouting, and you're doing all these crazy body movements. And if you see one of Elliot's videos, he has one, it's called bioenergetics. He likes to call this bioenergetics. And it's really about releasing trauma, like the childhood trauma that you had in your early childhood. And it's about really letting go. So you are doing these crazy body movements. You are like shaking your body. You are jumping up and down. You are shouting at the top of your lungs. You are cussing. Anything goes, right? There are no judgments because you are trying to release the stress and release the trauma from your body, because it is said that the body is the subconscious mind, your unconscious mind. So all of that stress and the trauma that we have suppressed since our childhood, we are really trying to let that go and to release all that tension out of the body. So you're giving your body space to release instead of suppressing the emotions. And you know what? Exercise can also be a form of dynamic meditation, especially if you're going all out and doing a high intensity type of exercise. So there are other meditations such as loving kindness meditations now. There are candle-based meditations. There are tech-based meditations such as the EEG machine. This is kind of like the helmet that we've talked about before. And of course, many, many others. But let's talk about the 80-20 of meditation, because I'm pretty sure that is what you are wondering. So all these are great, right? And they definitely have their own set of purposes. But for simplicity and practical everyday purposes, let's focus on mindfulness meditation for this program. So we are combining concentration with awareness. We're knocking down two birds with one stone. We're becoming more aware of our thoughts, and it's also helping us to stay attentive. All right, let's get down to the science of meditation. Okay, so there was a study done by the neuroscientist Sarah Lazar and her team. And what she did was she took about 35 participants, and 20 of these participants, they had already extensive meditation training for most of their lives, or at least it was like, I think it was 9+ years of their lives, they had meditation training, versus a control group who had no meditation training. And she wanted to see the differences. And on average, the meditation group, they had about 7 to 9 years of meditation experience, and they meditated for about 4 to 6 hours every week. And she wanted to see the brain composition differences. So she wanted to see the brain activity, brain size, and the gray and white matter of the two brains. And gray matter is really important because that is normally associated with learning and memory. And so here is a little picture of the two groups. So the non-meditators and the meditators. And you can see that the chunk circled is bigger than the group that did not meditate or does not meditate. So the parts of the brain that are normally associated with learning, memory process, emotional regulation, and self-referential process were a lot larger in the meditators. And scatter plot of mean cortical thickness of each participant. So they decided to plot this on a graph, right? And so if you can see here, the blue circles, these were the meditators. And the red squares were the control group. They did not meditate at all. And look at this. So whereas with age, as age increases, the red squares, the control group, their thickness of the brain, it starts to decline with age. But then the blue circles, the meditators, their thickness seems to stay stable and does not decline with age. In fact, some of them increase their brain size, right? So there's a huge correlation with meditation and thickness. You can actually draw like straight lines and come up with some sound science by just seeing this graph. And 50-year-old meditators seem to have the same cortical thickness as 25-year-old control participants. So meditation, it seems, can help to stave off the brain shrinkage that we human beings normally go through. So this was a study with long-term meditators, right? This was a study of people who have meditated for years and years. But what about normal people? What about normal people like us? What about brand new meditators? So there was another study by the same person, actually. And neuroscientist Sarah Lazar, she was not satisfied with this research. And so she did a follow-up study with new meditators. So she took 2 different groups. 16 were the MBSR meditation group. This is short for mindfulness-based stress reduction, versus a group that consists of 17 individuals that did not meditate. And so these 16 individuals, they had little to no experience in meditation, and they were aged 25 to 55 years old versus 17 individuals who were part of the control group. And the 16 individuals, they went through a meditation training that lasted for about 8 weeks. And they had to meditate daily for 8 weeks. So during this training that they went through, they were instructed to meditate for about 45 minutes, and it was a guided type of meditation. So these type of meditation, they cycled through body scan meditations, yoga, and sitting meditation. And they were instructed to practice daily at home. So the program participants, they averaged about 27 minutes every day for the next 8 weeks. And the control group did not meditate. This is what happened. Let's get into the MRIs of before and after pictures. So pre-meditation, prior to the meditation training, the gray matter in the brains of the newly meditation group were very small, right? But post-meditation, look at the big difference here. And in this graph shows an even more extreme comparison between the control and the meditation group. So the control group, some of the brain composition even started to decline, even though it was only 8 weeks, right? But if you see the MBSR group, they have actually grown a lot more brain matter because they have been involved in daily meditation. So to summarize, analysis of gray matter concentration changes in the regions of interest. Analysis supported significant increases in the left hippocampus in the MBSR group, confirming that structural changes in this region are detectable within 8 weeks following the participation in this mindfulness training program. So in just 8 weeks of meditation, it changed the physical structure of people's brains for the better. Thickening in regions of the brain, including the left hippocampus, involved in learning, memory, and emotional regulation. Thickening in TPJ involved in empathy and the ability to take multiple perspectives. And thickening in part of the brainstem called the pons, where regulatory neurotransmitters are generated. And there were also shrinkages in parts of the bad, like fight or flight type of the brain, parts of the brain. It's called the amygdala. So a region of the brain that is associated with fear, anxiety, fight or flight, and aggression. And so this part of the brain is actually correlated with stress. So when you reduce this part of the brain, you are also reducing your stress. All this in just 8 weeks of meditation. And other studies are showing that it can just take 11 total hours of meditation, and that's total hours, not 11 hours straight, because that would be pretty crazy. But it takes 11 total hours of meditation to see gray matter, muscle control, sensory perception, memory, emotion, speech, decision-making, and self-control increases in the brain. So just 11 total hours, that's all you need to see gray matter changes and increases in the brain. All right, let's talk about genes and meditation. Okay, so we are getting deeper and deeper into the science of this stuff, and we are going smaller and smaller into the smaller sciences. So we're now taking a look at genes, and maybe we might even get to the quantum level, the smallest of sciences. And if you've seen the movie Avengers Endgame, in the movie, they actually get into like the quantum field, right? The quantum level science to find out how to time travel, to manipulate time. And in a way, you can see meditation as a method of manipulating time. Because meditation, what we're trying to do is become one with the present moment, right? Becoming one with time. And that's what flow is all about, right? Becoming one with the now and the current moment. So in a sense, what I'm trying to train you in is I'm trying to train you to become a time manipulator. Of course, that's not what we're really trying to do. So let's move on and talk about genes and meditation. So let's go a little deeper and let's take a look at the genetic level when we meditate. What happens to our genes? And there is a newer branch of science called epigenetics. And this was, I think, founded in like the 1990s, if I'm correct. And one of the big pioneers of this branch of science is Bruce Lipton. And this branch of science is all about how the environment shapes our genes. So long before this branch of science existed, we all thought that genes cannot be changed. It is permanently fixed, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? But this new science is now showing us that genes can actually be changed. Specifically, it is showing us that genes have kind of like this on or off switch. Some genes that we have may never turn on, may always have this off switch, whereas some genes can turn on and always stay on, whereas some genes can turn on and off at will, or not at will, but the primary reason, the main switch mechanism that triggers these on or off switches for our genes is actually our environment. Epigenetics is now showing us that environment creates or turns on and off our genes. And this is called gene expression. Some genes can be expressed or not expressed depending on our surrounding environment. And although we might have certain genes, depending on the environment, these genes may never become expressed. So for example, the cancer gene, cancer cells. All of us as human beings, we have some sort of cancer cells, but it's not big enough to control our bodies. But if we get into an environment that is negative and creates a lot of stress in our lives, then more and more of these genes turn on and become expressed. And depending on the environment, these genes may never become expressed. So let me give you a little example. So there was a research done with prostate cancer patients. And they noticed that cancer is due to about 10% is hereditary, meaning it is fixed, but 90% of it is actually due to environmental responses. So they took these two groups of cancer patients, prostate cancer patients, and they split them into two groups. First group, they used the traditional, pharmaceutical treatment with all the drugs and chemotherapy and everything. And group two, they gave them no drugs, no medicine. All they did was they changed their diet and they had them meditate. They had them meditate to relieve their stress, to become a lot less stress-free as possible. And here were the results after only 90 days. Before the intervention, before they started meditating, they had a lot of these cancerous genes expressed. But post-intervention, look at the changes in their genetic expression. And the results after 90 days was that over 500 genes changed. And this is actually a science now. We can actually change our genes by changing our environment, by meditating, by changing our diet. And so epigenetics, what the study is all about is you respond to an environment. If you're in a bad environment, you can create a cancer. The cancer genes get expressed instead of being downregulated. If you change the response to an environment, you can eliminate a cancer. I mentioned how important environment is for our lives. So we covered environment design, how we can design our environment to become stress-free and to become more relaxed and to stay more attentive and focused. And now it is showing that the environment is more important than ever, right? Because the environment around us shapes our actual genes. Proximity is power. Who and what you surround yourself with, you actually become. You actually express your genes. It is at a genetic level that we are creating change in our lives depending on the environment. So please design your life, design your environment so that you are in a very good and positive and good energy type of environment, whether that is your friends, the things that you own, your room, your workplace. Make sure that these environments are conducive to activating more joy in your life, more flow in your life, and to reduce the stress, because this is how your genes can get expressed. So the environment, thoughts and feelings shape our genes. So you can see how important meditation is for us, because once we use our environment and respond well to our environment, we can actually create some of the good genes inside our bodies and downregulate the bad ones. And meditation is also a universal skill. Neuroscientists have found that when you meditate, you're not just getting better at meditation, you're also increasing your skill in a wide range of self-control factors such as attention, focus, stress management, impulse control, and self-awareness. People who meditate regularly aren't just better at these things over time. Their brains become finely tuned willpower machines. Regular meditators have more gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, as well as regions of the brain that support self-awareness. It doesn't take a lifetime of meditation to change the brain. As we have seen, it can only take 8 weeks or 11 hours of total meditation time for our brain composition to start changing. So, conclusion, we have solid data from many different branches of science. With proper meditation, you can physically grow your brain and change your gene expression. But not only that, here are also a ton of benefits that meditation provides. Attention, focus, stress management, impulse control, self-awareness, shrinkage of the amygdala, reduces fear, reduces anxiety, reduces aggression, more gray matter, increased willpower, improvements in blood pressure, helps with sleep, increases BDNF, positive gene change, and increased flow. So here's the big question, right? How much meditation do I need? And you're probably wondering, what is the minimum amount of meditation I need to get all those benefits? What is the minimum effective dose for meditation? The smallest amount of meditation for the most amount of mental benefit. So just like how exercise has a certain dosage, so does meditation. There is a minimum effective dose for meditation. So let's go with the science. The science says the practitioners for that 8-week training, they had about 27 minutes of average meditation, right? So let's try to incorporate that to our lives. So let's aim for about 30 to 45 minutes of daily meditation for our MED. And so meditation also has a certain dosage that is right? There is like a Goldilocks center, a really balanced amount of meditation that is best for our practical life. And so anything like above the MED might result in a marginal increase in benefits. So the science says, about 30 to 45 minutes of daily meditation will give us all of those benefits. And meditation, it might seem counterintuitive at first. So it's like you're taking 30 minutes of your day to meditate, whereas when you can take that same 30 minutes and then you can do something more productive, right? So it might seem counterintuitive, but let me give you kind of like a graphical representation on the benefits, the long-term benefits of meditation. And it seems like, meditation is like taking time away from my project. I can use this time to work more on my project than to meditate. So meditation is kind of like this. You're taking 10 steps back to go 100 steps forward. In fact, I would say that you're going 1,000 steps forward, because I believe that meditation is a 10x multiplier. Meaning that if you invest in just like taking 10 steps back to become consciously aware, then out the other end, the output is about 100 times ROI in your investment in time and energy. So meditation yields a positive time ROI for more focus. And I'll give you a little example of this. So it's kind of like a jogger or a runner with their shoes untied. If you are trying to run with your shoes untied, you're going to run very, very slow, right? It's going to be very uncontrolled, and it's not going to be well balanced. Whereas somebody who ties their shoes, although it might take a little bit of time to tie the shoes, to stop and to tie the shoes, but in the end, they're going to have a better run. They're going to be well more controlled. They're going to have the ability to sprint, and they're just going to have more balance in the run compared to the person who does not have their shoes tied. So that's kind of like what meditation is like. So without meditation, it's kind of like you're running with your shoes untied, and your normal speed might be about 50 miles per hour. But with meditation, although you might get a later start, you have to stop and tie your shoes, but you have a faster end speed. You're going at it with 60 miles per hour. So even though it might seem counterintuitive to spend 30 minutes a day to meditating when you can take that same 30 minutes to work on your project, in the long term, you'll start to pick up speed. You'll start to overlap the person who is going at the slower speed with their untied shoes. So we're going 100 steps back to go 100 forward. And in the long term, the person with the tied shoes, they will get far, far ahead of the person with the untied shoes. So with meditation, we're pretty much tying the shoelaces of our minds. Is this making sense? It's getting more control of our mind and our focus and bringing more balance into our life. And at first, it might not seem like much of a difference. Oh, 50 miles per hour versus 60 miles per hour, that's not a big difference. But over time, the small differences will add up. So how much meditation do I need to feel the benefits of meditation? Because I gotta be honest, at first, you're not gonna feel it right away. Like 1, 2, 3 meditation sessions, you're not gonna see the difference. But in the long term is where the big benefits start to come. And again, let's go with the science, right? 11 hours for gray matter change. So this is about 1 month with 30 minutes a day to really start seeing some benefits from the meditation, or about 8 weeks for brain size increases. And if you're consistent with meditation, even small amounts, even like 10 to 30 minutes a day, and you do it for many months straight, I really believe that it can truly change your life. Isn't that cool? Just being able to meditate for a few minutes a day can really change and impact your life and your consciousness. And here's a little tip. So remember the gateway action for building habits? What is the smallest action that'll lead to 30 to 45 minutes of meditation? You're tricking your brain, okay? You are tricking your brain. So we want to aim for 10 minutes. Because 10 minutes of meditation, it's not much. It's like 10 minutes of meditation, yeah, I could do that. But 30 or 45 minutes, might seem a little long, right? So we are tricking our brain. We are telling our brain, okay, we are going to meditate for 10 minutes. But we're not really meditating for 10 minutes because we're going to set our timer to 30 minutes. But we are telling ourselves to meditate for only 10 minutes because anybody can do 10 minutes. Anybody can. 30 minutes might be a little harder. So we are using the gateway action. Trick your brain that you're only going to do 10 minutes of meditation, but set your timer to 30 minutes. All right, remember we talked about dosage of meditation. How much is too much meditation, right? Can there be too much meditation? Can we be too enlightened? And so monks and these Eastern philosophers, they will meditate many, many hours a day. And I truly really respect that. But unless you're a monk, or unless you want to become like a spiritual teacher or an enlightenment teacher of sorts, then I don't think that much meditation is really required for a normal person, right? Because 6 to 8 hours a day of meditation, man, that really cuts into our day. So again, where is that Goldilocks amount of meditation? Because too much meditation takes away from our craft, from our skill building, from our daily activities, right? So let's look into the practicality of meditation. How can we use this as a practical tool? So here's a little graph representation of too much meditation. So again, we're getting a late start. We're tying our shoes, we're running really fast, but it takes 6 hours of our day. And now we're only left with 10 hours, right? And we got to do other activities in those 10 hours too. And you get too little of a progress. Even though we're going fast at 70 miles per hour, we're getting too little done. So we want the right dosage, not too much and not too little. Again, we've talked about the right dosage. So I would limit meditation to about an hour, and an hour and a half at most. The most I've done is an hour and a half. Because I feel like if you go too much and too long, it just cuts into your day. Even though you're getting more focus, it's still like cutting off those precious hours into your day. And I would only do a longer type of meditation if I was like on a training camp for meditation. Then of course, yeah, you can go the whole day meditating and training yourself to become a better meditator. But for practical uses, daily practical uses, I would limit myself to about 1.5 hours, but a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes a day. So the MED is about 30 to 45 minutes. And I've also heard that 20 minutes a day can also help. But I would try to aim for 30 because that's what the science is showing. All right, so here are some everyday uses of where and how meditation can play a part in your life. So Andrew found that even when his meditation felt distracted, he was more focused after practicing than if he skipped it. He also realized that what he was doing in meditation was exactly what he needed to do in real life. Catch himself moving away from a goal and then point himself back at the goal. In this case, focusing on the breath. The meditation was perfect practice for when he was just about to order something salty and deep fried for lunch and needed to stop and order something healthier. Again, it's becoming consciously aware of our thoughts, actions, and behaviors. So whereas before meditating and before becoming more and more conscious, we might have had these automatic bad behaviors, bad habits that are fired consistently throughout our daily routine. But what meditation does is that it helps us to become conscious of this, and now we can catch ourselves in doing that bad habit. We can say, oh wait, this is a bad habit. Why am I doing this? And so we can steer the direction in a different way. So that's what meditation is helping us to do. So this is how meditation shows up for me and how it can become a life-changing practice, because it has changed my life in the following ways. So I catch myself drifting out of focus. I catch my thoughts. So when I'm focusing intensely on a project and then all of a sudden like I become distracted by a thought and I wander off and I get into these reveries, right? I say, what are my plans for this weekend? I would catch myself drifting off, and then I would get myself back into focus. So this becomes a really practical thing. So I would be like on my computer and then I would do some like writing, for example, and then this urge to check Facebook would come up, right? Out of nowhere. And then in the past, before I did meditation, I would just go on to check Facebook. But as I started doing meditation, I started to become more aware of this, and I started to catch myself in the act. And I would catch myself going onto Facebook, and I would tell myself, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be going on Facebook. Let's get back into focus, David, come on. And then I would get back into focus. So it's like you are intercepting your behavior in the act of doing a bad habit or a bad behavior. So like another example, it might be relatable for most of you, right? You're focusing on a project, and then you habitually check your social media on your phone to see, you got to see what's up with the world, right? But then meditation, what it really helps and what how it changed my life personally is I'm now able to catch myself going into social media. And so I shift my focus back to the project. And it's a skill. It's a skill that can be developed. Just like a muscle, you can also grow this just like any other skill. So I also catch myself when I am losing attention. So within like my relationships, we have to be able to listen to people, right? Listening is very important in creating relationships. Now, meditation helps you to become a better listener. For example, when like somebody is speaking, right? And my mind, when all of a sudden it starts to drift off somewhere else. And then now I am able to catch my mind drifting off. And so I would steer my mind, take the reins. Remember, we are controlling those strings now. We're taking the reins, taking those strings, and then steering it back into listening and staying attentive. So that is like some of the more practical uses of meditation. Again, if you do it for long periods of time, then it can become a life-changing activity, because you're going to see this come up everywhere. You're going to see like your thoughts drifting off everywhere. And another life-changing benefit, of course, is it benefits focus and helps with flow states. So in the past, I wouldn't notice myself, like daydreaming, right? I wouldn't be aware that I was zoned out. But with meditation, I now become a lot more aware when I'm wandering off, and I'm able to get back on track a lot faster. And so this brings us back almost full circle to like one of the first lessons where we focused on one thing and one thing only. And so I really want to place an importance that whenever we divide our thoughts, whenever we have all these thoughts coming in, it divides our focus. So let's pretend that we went to a party. Our friend invited us to a party, and then we show up at this party, right? And you notice that there is this abundance of food, right? The food is plentiful. And then you think to yourself, like, wow, there's a lot of food here. I'm so glad. But who was saying that? Who just spoke that dialogue? Because the thing is, you saw with your eyes that there was a lot of food. Why did you have to say that inside of your head? Why did that inner dialogue have to take place? Didn't you already see the food there? Why are you vocalizing this thing? So that's what meditation is doing for you. It's getting rid of the vocalizations inside your head. It's like removing the redundancies. Because when you have a thought in your head, who are you talking to? You're talking to yourself, but you already knew it. You already processed the information. You already saw it visually. You already knew that information. So it's kind of like an unnecessary vocalization, an unnecessary dialogue that's going inside your head. And remember, focus is, a lot of the times it's about removing. Remember, less is more, right? So removing those efficiencies. So when we have these multiple thoughts inside our head, or these unnecessary dialogues that are happening, if we remove these efficiencies, then we can automatically get more focus, right? So that's something else that meditation helps you on. It removes the vocalization inside your head. It's quieting the vocalization so you can focus on the important stuff. And it's kind of like a camera lens. So instead of having like this older model of a camera lens with a bad autofocus and just having the focus jump everywhere, it's going haywire, you're now taking control of that camera and you're now using manual focus. So instead of having this autopilot, autofocus, focusing on whatever thought or whatever comes into the picture of the camera, you're now taking that lens and now you are in control what comes to your focus. You can point that thing to wherever you want your focus to be on. That's what meditation will help you to do. And if we go back to the one thing lesson, if we have so many activities going on in our lives and our thoughts, and if we have like multiple businesses that we're running, if we have a YouTube channel, if we have a Twitter handle, if we have an Instagram account, if we have a e-commerce business, if we have a blog, if we're doing writing, if we are filmmaking, if we're doing all of that, then our attention is dividing so many different ways. And the distance that you can go with those projects, they're not that far because you're spreading not just your time and energy, but your focus into multiple paths. So you're only getting ahead like 1 inch at a time. Whereas if you instead focus on just one thing, then you add up all these inches. And it's not just an addition, by the way, it's an exponential type of growth. It's not just a few inches that you're getting ahead. You are now transcending math. You're transcending math. And now you have this explosive type of focus on just one thing. You're getting exponential results and you have the focus to like an interstellar type of focus now. You can go great distances if you just focus on one thing. So again, you are developing focus muscles. It's like strength training. You know, if you strength train over and over again, you get stronger and stronger at it. You get better and better at it. It's kind of like a mental workout for your brain. And meditation also helps with cleansing. It is a mind cleanse. We talked about purging and cleansing. Well, this one especially is important because this is a mind cleanse. So if we take an example here, we're kind of like fish in water. We don't know that the water exists. I guess you can say that we are like humans in oxygen. We might not know, become consciously aware that oxygen is helping us to survive, right? And the water inside this fish tank might be really dirty. We never even notice the dirty water. And so it's like fish in dirty water. We don't even notice that it's dirty. But what meditation helps us is to become aware of the water, to become aware of the dirtiness, and to say, wow, this water is pretty dirty and murky. Let's clean this up a little bit. It helps us to become conscious. And we can make the water cleaner one meditation session at a time. And so it really helps us to see clearer, to clean our mind, and to give our minds a little bath. So if you're not aware, you can't see the dirtiness of the water. But once you become aware, you see the dirt, and then you can start to cleanse it. It is a big consciousness cleanse. And you can start to become enlightened. And this word is usually associated to religion and spiritual associations, but try to detach from that. Really see this as a practical tool, a flow mechanism to help us to get into more flow, right? And so the term enlightened, we can define this as pure awareness, where we can go into that party, we can see the food laid out there, and without sub-vocalizing it, we can just observe, and we can process that information with our eyes without the dialogue going on. So we can become purely aware of everything that goes on into our life. And if we become purely aware, we become involved in the deep present moment, then we can activate the flow states. And that is how flow becomes a skill. Just like with any other skill, whether it is meditation, whether it is exercise, whether it is ping pong, flow is also a skill that you can hone and you can develop. Here is your mission for today. It's very simple. Meditate daily. Meditate daily, and it should become your new way of life. So the way I implement this into my life is I will not leave the house until I have meditated at least 10 minutes. And again, I trick my brain. I tell myself, okay, I'm only going to meditate 10 minutes. But then I set the timer to 30 minutes. And so here is your action item. Action item number 1 is you download a guided meditation app if this is your first time. And if you are not familiar with meditation, then these are some apps that I can recommend. First is Headspace, and second is Waking Up by Sam Harris. And they are both free, I believe, for like the first 2 weeks or something. And they will help you to really make meditation a practical device and really to help you to make it a daily habit. So I know we've talked about removing our apps and becoming more and more minimalism, but throughout this program, you can start with these apps, especially if this is your first time, and then you can deviate off of it later. So you can download these apps and check those out. And it's a guided meditation, so it's not like you're going at this alone. So in the beginning, you do need some help and advice. So this will help you to guide you through the meditation. And please schedule it in your calendar. Make this an action item list. The way I schedule my meditation is I like to do it in the morning. And I like to do it in the morning because for a few reasons. So the first reason is if I do it at night, sometimes I might have a very, very, very long day and I would be really, really tired. Right? And if I do meditation at night, I just fall asleep. So it's kind of like defeating the purpose of meditation if you fall asleep while meditating. So it's hard to do at night. So I try to do it in the morning where I am the most awake and attentive. And here's another tip for meditation is straighten your spine. It helps you to stay alert. And straightening your spine, it might take a little work, but for like the shorter meditation sessions from say like 20 to 30 minutes, it should be completely fine. But for longer periods of meditation, if you're doing it like an hour or longer, I feel like these longer sessions, they really start to hurt my back and I do need some kind of back support. So if you're doing a longer meditation, try to meditate in a chair or the couch or something because it really starts to take a toll on your back. And it might not be that healthy for us. And number 3, here's a little tip. No judgments. A crappy meditation session is better than no meditation session. So you're going to find yourself really sucking at this at first. Even today, sometimes I would have a crappy meditation session. I would have all these thoughts coming into me and then I would just follow them along, right? And the point is not to judge. So even though you might be following these trail of thoughts, you want to really see it as the observer. As long as you observe yourself following those thoughts and you say, wow, I have went on a 5-minute journey following these thoughts. And as long as you come back to center and say, okay, I just caught myself going on this journey of thought following, but now I have noticed it. And even though it was 5 minutes later, at least I noticed it. So you don't want to judge. Don't judge, because even if the act of trying to meditate helps and is a lot better than no meditation at all. And another tip is focus on breath. So we talked about box breathing. You can focus on your breath while you are doing your meditation. And this really helps to hone in your focus on one thing. You can also focus on a mantra, which is just a single word or a phrase. So here are some examples that you can focus on. So on your inhale, you can say something like this. You can say, I breathe in peace. And on the exhale, you can say, I breathe out love. And you can swap with these other words. You can say, I breathe in focus. I breathe out gratitude. And it can help calm your mind and help you with your focus. Tip number 6 is meditation is not an excuse to fall asleep. So you got to stay attentive. This is real key. Being relaxed plus being laser-like focused. Your body is relaxed, but your mind is sharp and it's aware, it's alive. We are now, if you do it the right way, relaxing your body helps us get into theta states. And theta states are the doorway to your unconscious or subconscious mind. And if we do it right with a relaxed state, but our mind is focused, then we are piercing into the the subconscious. And I mentioned this before, but the subconscious mind dictates most of our lives because that is where a lot of our automatic pilot habits are situated in. So if we can take control of our subconscious mind, we can take control of our life. And by the way, so like meditation in the morning also helps tap into the subconscious mind, especially if you do it right when you wake up. But me personally, I don't meditate right when I wake up, because right when you wake up, that is known as a theta state, or your brain goes into like these slower, longer theta states, which again, it's easier to tap into your subconscious mind. But the reason I don't do it right when I wake up is because, when we usually wake up, we feel really groggy and we're not really alive yet. So again, it's like I'm falling asleep while meditating, which defeats the purpose of meditation, right? And so how I like to schedule my meditation is right after exercise. After I do a workout, my mind comes alive. My mind gets on fire because like all the BDNF is activated after exercise. And so I use that for my meditation session. And my meditation sessions after exercising is a lot more attentive and focused. And I seem to have a higher quality meditation session prior to exercise. So I like to do my meditations in the morning right after I exercise. All right, tip number 7 is start with guided meditation, but you want to transition off of it. And you want to become purely present without any aid. And I like to shift in and out of guided meditation and just pure meditation and maybe like a mantra-based meditation. So like I would go for like an entire month, just doing a regular mindfulness type of meditation without any aid, just using my timer, my phone as a timer. And then the next month, I might do a whole month of just guided meditation, right? So I like to switch it up. And the next month, I might just do like a mantra or like a breath type of meditation. And so I do like to switch things up because I do find that there is a lot of value in guided meditation, but then there is also value in just staying present without any aid at all. So I like to use both of them. I like to switch it up from time to time. And okay, just like with everything in life, and just like with ketosis, just like with exercise, meditation isn't bulletproof. The hierarchy still applies. Again, so we talked about how meditation, especially when you're really, really tired, right? You fall asleep, you tend to fall asleep. So biology still dictates our lives. Biology is always number one, I would say. And this concept of the hierarchy, especially the biology part, I am borrowing from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The baseline number one type of need for human beings is what? It's biological drive. It is our need for oxygen, for water, the right temperature, shelter, for sex, for food and water, right? So that comes first. Because no matter how attentive and how good we are at meditating, if we've only gotten 2 hours of sleep within a week, it's going to be impossible to meditate. If we're dying of thirst, then we're not able to meditate either, right? So biology always comes first. And so meditation isn't bulletproof. We first have to start at the biological level, and then we move up. And then we can start to meditate, and then we can start to work on our environment. And then, using the pressure and leverages in our lives, and using some of the mindset stuff, and then finally, like all the tools and everything. So bulletproof, or meditation is definitely not bulletproof. It's just one of those things that can help enhance our lives after we have gotten our biology in order. All right, but with that being said though, meditation is a huge component of flow because we are shifting time perspectives, right? We are becoming those time manipulators. So you stop dwelling about the past. You let go of the past. And you stop being anxious about the future. You stop thinking, oh, will this happen? Will I achieve my goal? Will I be able to board my plane on time? Right? We stop dwelling about the future, and we also stop dwelling about the past. Oh, like, why did I say that? Oh, I regret doing that. Instead, we shift our focus into the now, the present now, and we enter the deep now. Nothing else exists. The past, the future, it doesn't exist. We are now in flow. We become one with time. We are time. We become our craft. You are now being, not doing. Everything just flows out effortlessly. And all it takes is to become one with the present moment. That is how flow works. When we are so intensely in the moment, in the now, that everything else disappears. And we become our true living component of time and of life. And flow is such a fulfilling type of state to be in, because it really engages our mind, and we really become grateful for the moment when we are in flow. And it takes away all the anxiety of the past and the future, and we live completely in the moment. And here is a quote from the Dalai Lama. And remember, the term enlightenment, detach that from any spiritual type of definitions. And he says that enlightenment takes lifetimes or the next moment. I hope you can find peace, focus, love, and joy in your next moment, and in this moment, and every moment from now on. And that is it for this lesson. Please stay present, stay in the deep now, and may you use these moments and time to create your masterpiece. That is it for today, and I will see you in the next lesson. Take care.